am hoping I'm able to get this video out to you today because today is St. Patrick's Day. I have my St. Patrick's Day shirt on, and I am here with a tag. I am here with the St. Patrick's Day tag. It looks like this one was created by Z with Books. I know there's a couple different versions going around, but this is the one that I have. And there are 8 questions. It looks like the last 2 are bonus questions. Question 1, End of the Rainbow. What book did you have a hard time tracking down a copy of? So the book, one of the books I had a hard time tracking down a copy of was this one, Point Roberts by Alexander Rigby. I was recommended this book through the My TBR program with Book Riot, and it's hard to get a copy of this one. I was able to order a copy through my local indie, which happens to be Powell's, which is a very large local indie. It's also a local book. They had it in stock in their warehouse, but they don't keep a copy of it on the shelves. My library didn't have it. It wasn't available on Kobo. I did check, bookshop.org does carry it, but it's from a very, very, very small press, i.e. I think it might actually be self-published kind of press. But I eventually did find it, and that's it. It was not an easy book to find. So question 2 goes on to that one, which is The Pot of Gold. When you found that book, was it worth the quest? In this case, yes. I really enjoyed this book. So this book kind of, it felt like I was watching like a Netflix show. It had that same kind of sort of slightly odd, corny vibe. It's about people who live in Point Roberts, Washington, which is a real place. It is not actually connected to the continental US. This is true. This is not from the book, but they have an elementary school, but the high school, for kids to go to high school there, they have to go up into Canada and then back down into the United States to get to high school. You can only reach it through Canada or by water. So it's a very isolated place. The reason it exists the way it does is because when the borders between Canada and the United States were settled, I can't remember which parallel it was. It wasn't the 45th because that's in Oregon, so the one above that. Whatever it was, this was just a little tail of British Columbia that hung down off it. And so it ended up in the United States because it was below that line, even though it's not actually part of the United States. So the idea, fictionally, in this town, there was several years prior, there in the month of February, there was a string of murders. There was a serial killer. And I believe that it happened over, it's been a couple months since I've read this, but it happened over a couple February. So the way the town decides to take care of it is to just shut the town off from everybody in the month of February. You cannot leave the town. You cannot come into the town. You cannot be heard talking about the killers. You can't, there's a curfew. They just shut the town down. Well, there's a new girl who comes to town and she hears about this and she starts investigating it. She meets some other people to help investigate it. And then it seems the murders might be starting again. This was a lot of fun. The ending was a little, the ending was fine. I think it could have been handled a little bit better, but still really entertaining. It's kind of like binge TV watching. So that's Point Roberts by Alexander Rigby. It is in print, it is available, you just have to look for it. So question 3 is celebrating a rich heritage. Name a book that contains a well-developed culture. So this is a book I've been talking about a lot lately. It recently became my all-time favorite book, and that is Mink River by Brian Doyle. This is set in a fictional town on the Oregon coast in the late 70s, early 80s. They aren't really specific about the time, but you can kind of tell through context clues. That's where it is. The town is fictional, but it is just like any small town on the Oregon coast. And they just develop this town and its inhabitants so well. I felt like I was living there. I want to live there. Who doesn't want to live on the Oregon coast? And I just loved getting sucked into this book. This is, as I said, my all-time favorite book. I just read it like a month ago. Actually, I read it over the month of February, and that's Mink River by Brian Doyle. What's the next question? Shamrock Shakes. I'm hoping to have one tonight after dinner, or this evening. What's your favorite food to snack on while reading? I don't actually snack while I'm reading. I do, however, like if you follow this channel, you know I'm reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'm actually reading that at lunch. So whatever I eat I would say lunch food, because I do eat that while I read. So it's usually a sandwich or soup or something. It's not exciting at all. If you've ever listened to the podcast Reading Glasses, they talk a lot about what are the best snacks for reading. So if you need inspiration for reading snacks, I would check them out because I've got nothing for you. Question 5, 4-leaf clover. Name a book you thought would be just a generic book, but turned out to be something great. And for that, I have Still Life by Louise Penny. This is the first of the Roman Gamache books, and I'm actually late to the series, I really had no interest in reading it, mostly because, and this shows you what a book snob I was, I always saw these books for sale at the grocery store. And for some reason, I felt like, okay, that's a book I don't want to read. But my bookish best friend was like, you need to read these books, you need to read them. And she just kept on me until I finally picked up the first one, which is Still Life, and I was a goner after that. I am a complete stan for these books. I am currently, as you can tell, doing a very slow reread. This is the first one. Keep moving that thing back and forth. This is the first in the series. There are some people who say that they can't really get into the series until the 4th or 5th book. You know, I respect that for them. I personally didn't have that issue. I was sucked in from book 1. But so Louise Penny, Still Life is definitely not just an ordinary book. Oh, and number 6, Irish whiskey. What's your favorite tradition for St. Patrick's Day? So my husband's name is Patrick. So he spends all day saying, it's St. Me Day, it's St. Me Day. And there was a while before we had kids and we had the energy to actually do these sorts of things. I would make it almost like his birthday because it was St. Tim Day. Now we have kids, we don't do that. But we do, I make corned beef and cabbage every single year on St. Patrick's Day. I am not a fan of this dish, but my husband loves it. So every year he gets that for dinner. I currently have mine going in the oven right now. I'm making it a new way this time. I've always made it in the crock pot in the past, but I thought I'm gonna try baking it. So we'll see how it goes. It's in the oven right now, we'll see. So now we're on to the bonus questions. Number 7 is a pub. Name a bar or pub in a book that you'd like to visit. I'm gonna go back to Louise Penny here. It's not really a bar or pub, but it's a bistro. It's the bistro in this book. Is it Olivier's or Gabriel's? But it's one of their bistros. Like, that's the place where everyone gathers. And I just kind of like that idea of being in a small town and having this one central place that has fantastic food and licorice pipes. And you're able to get a nice drink and just meet everybody in the town there. So that's my fictional bar or pub. And last question, Kaylee. At least that's how I'm told it's pronounced. A group of characters you'd like to party with. These people, the people of 3 towns in the Eastern Townships in Canada. Sorry for any weird noise, you know, the daughter and the cat are having a disagreement over there.
Just attacked me.
Well, leave her alone.
I'm trying to.
Anyway, these are the people I'd like to party with. I have always said that this is where I want to live in 3 Pines. People there are nice. There are too many murders, but there you go. So that's a St. Patrick's Day tag. I am not tagging anybody because at this point, I'm not even sure I can get this out on St. Patrick's Day. We will try. However, keep this in mind. If you want to do it next week, go ahead. The leprechauns are not going to come after you. Or, file it away and do it next St. Patrick's Day because I'd love to hear what your answers are. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.